Guys, welcome to our Hindu newspaper question answer discussion session. These questions are based on from 20th February Hindu newspaper. So first question, to what extent recently announced national electronic policy will boost investment, export and domestic manufacturing? Analyze. Before answering, always we must have to read each of the word of the question very carefully. Here the keywords are investment, export and domestic manufacturing. So while writing answers for UPSC, do not follow the university or college habit of writing answers where having seen the word you write answers. Means national domestic manufacturing, national electronic policy, and you know something about national electronic policy, you write down all of them. It is not. Here the what is the question is asking. What the question is not asking about national electronic policy merely. It asks that how that policy will boost investment, export and domestic manufacturing. So here you have to narrate that what are the various provisions of national electronic policy that will boost investment, export and domestic manufacturing. First, give an introduction about national electronic policy, 1 to 3 line. Then come to investment. Give a headline investment, underline it, then mention the various points or various provisions of that national electronic policy which will boost investment. In that way, export. To what are the provisions of national electronic policy which will boost export? In that way, what are the provisions of the national electronic policy which will boost domestic manufacturing? So in this way, you have to analyze it. Third question, the relationship between India and Saudi Arabia is mostly economic rather than diplomatic. Analyze. The question is asking that understand the question that India and Saudi Arabia have to confine their relationship in economic sphere rather than diplomatic. Why? To analyze the questions, first we have to know why. Why India and Saudi Arabia? Why there is a very less less possibility that India and Saudi Arabia would likely to succeed in diplomatic relationship rather than economic relationship? Because you have to analyze this answer from various angles. One is from the angle of Pakistan and one is main angle is Iran. Pakistan and Iran and their relationship with India and Saudi Arabia will be the core of this answer, because history shows that there is a very core relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia will never lessen that relationship, that long-lasting relationship with Pakistan. There are many reasons, because rather than India, Pakistan has becomes much more valuable to Saudi Arabia. Even Saudi Arabia is much more interested in Gwadar Port as well, as both are Muslim countries, both have some common goals and common interests. Both once supported some kind of revolt or protest in Afghanistan. Both have same interest in Afghanistan. Right, in this way, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia both shares some common values, and these common values so India, the position of India will not be able to compete in front of those shared common values by Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. So first thing is that from this angle there is very less possibility that India can deepen her diplomatic tie with Saudi Arabia when there is a Pakistan there. And besides that, another angle is Iran. When Iran, there is an adverse relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Yeah, you can say there is not a very good and there is not a very good interest between Iran and Pakistan, but the relationship between Iran and India is very deep from various angles. In such cases, there is a very much possibility that Saudi Arab will much more tilted towards Pakistan rather than India. So in this way, you have to analyze the factors. Next question was, narrate the existing legal framework to deal with custodial violence in India. If you want to find a whole copy of the entire note which I wrote yesterday, go to our Facebook page learnwithmaster.com. Yeah, go to our website learnwithmaster.com. There you will find the whole note. Here I am just trying to give the narrate the existing legal framework in India to deal with custodial violence. Keep in mind that Indian constitution or Indian law does not clear transparently define what is custodial violence. Right. So first you have to write that there is no exact definition of custodial violence in Indian law, but there are various articles in constitution, various statutory provisions, and there are some various provisions under penal code and criminal procedure code which deals with custodial violence in India. So then you have to find out that what are those provisions, as well as some statutory provisions. Means what are different provisions of National Human Rights Commission, what are the guidelines of Human Rights Commissions. You have to mention three things here: the articles in the Indian Constitution. When we say article in the Indian Constitution, you have to mention article 20, 21, and 22, how they have dealt with custodial violence. If you find any confusion to how they are dealt with custodial violence, then please go to our website. There you will find I have written all the things here. So first thing is that how article 20, 21, and 22 of Indian Constitution have dealt with custodial violence, not directly dealt with custodial violence, right, but how they have protected the rights a person under police custody. Then come to Supreme Court judgments. That what are the various Supreme Court judgments which have they deal with custodial violence. You can mention Kharak Singh, MP Sharma, and Puttaswamy. Again, not directly, but how indirectly, because these judgments have protected right of privacy, and how the right of privacy is dealt with the person under police custody. Then come to the IPC. Then what are the main provisions of IPC? Do not keep in mention that you are not a law student here, right? So you need not to make any detailed analysis of provisions. Just two very important provisions of IPC, like our section 348 and section 330 of IPC. In that way, Indian Evidence Act, again, two important provisions of Section 25 and Section 26 of Indian Evidence Act, and again, Criminal Procedure Code, Section 76 of Criminal Procedure Code. After that, you have to mention some guidelines of National Human Rights Commission regarding custodial violence. And one important judgment of Supreme Court I left is the D.K. Basu versus West Bengal. Here Supreme Court has given detailed guidelines how to deal, what are the rights of the person under police custody, what police have to do. So to answer this question, you have to mention all these things. Right, then after that, you have to dedicate one paragraph that what are the loopholes of current existing situation. Right, then providing your solution, you have to end the answer. Let's come to the objective questions. Which of the following is not a common feature of interest subvention scheme? Generally, we often come across this term, interest subvention. Interest subvention scheme is not a particular scheme, it is just a characteristics of some schemes. Interest subvention means that a kind of waive, a kind of reduction on interest, or a kind of some reduced amount of interest, means, for example, a government gives a loan to farmers, and at the time of return government has waived some kind of interest on that loan. That is interest subvention. Government is providing some kind of financial aid. For example, government is providing granting aid to industrialists, who will invest in research of science, and who will invest in science and technology, right? Who will, and what are the provisions that the provision is that in time of return they will have to return a half amount of their grant in it. That is a kind of interest subvention scheme. Government is giving subsidy to farmers. That is also a kind of interest subvention scheme. Interest subvention scheme means a kind of monetary support uh, where the return, where the person who will take it will have to return in a reduced amount. Yes, somehow, sometimes yeah, they have not to return it. Right, that is a means of a kind of financial support. That's a grant to infrastructural projects only. No, it is not only the word only is wrong here. Waive on the interest, a kind of subsidy in some cases. B and C are correct. Consider a correct statement regarding regional rapid transport system in India. It is the first of its kind technologically advanced rail-based transport system. It will be used for good transport only. First option is correct. Second is not. It is a commuter transport also. Choose the correct information regarding Shubahu. It is a software to be used in Bangalore to increase police efficiency. Right, this is correct. It has been recently launched by government of Karnataka to increase the efficiency of police. Which of the following treaty is signed but not ratified by India? Here the word is very important, sign and ratify. Sign means what? If a international treaty is made, yeah, written, then there is a minimum number, there is a requirement of minimum number of countries who have to sign it. After that, it becomes valid actually. So sign means any country can sign it, but ratification means what? When an international treaty is signed, then how that domestic law will be formed under that international treaty, then how domestic law has to be changed in response to international treaty. The second is ratification, right? UN Convention on Refugee. India has not even signed UN Convention on Refugee. It is UN Convention against torture. India has signed the treaty, but India has not changed, India has not made any specific domestic law in response to this treaty. So option B is correct.